I greet you all in the powerful name of Jesus.
Amen.
So before I present my topic, I'd like to say that I'm sure many of us here know who Kim Kardashian is. I mean, all of us probably know who she is. She's a very famous model, and she comes from a very famous family, right? And most of us probably follow her on social media and her every move, right? But I want to know, how many of you know who Freddie Power is? Does anybody know? Okay, so Freddie Power is termed the modern day Mother Teresa. She is a very evangelistic Christian, and she goes onto the streets and gives services to God for homeless people who may be scared to come to a church where they may feel judgment because they don't have a home. I'm sure they probably don't have regular baths and they don't have the best clothes. But she organizes services to be held on the street for homeless people. She feeds the poor, and she raises so much of money for charity and even started her own charity organizations. And Freddie Power is really an amazing woman. And I'm sure most of us here probably didn't even know who she was until I just mentioned her. But more than half of us probably knew who Kim Kardashian was. Alright, so today my topic is the expectations of people versus the expectations of God. So we all knew who Kim Kardashian was, and we all didn't know or most of us didn't know who Freddie Power was. So why are we following Kim Kardashian? She did not get her fame very famous in a very good way. She came into fame in a very negative way. And although she has changed and she's been she does help with charity and stuff, Freddie Power, who has totally devoted her life to God, and yet half of us probably didn't even know she existed. So, why are we following someone like Kim Kardashian? So, people expect us to follow the trends of social media and things that are trending now, and lots of expectations are put on us, especially as the youth, and as girls we go through a lot of expectations and pressure. So, God expects us to keep our body holy and clean, and that is said in the scripture. First Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 to 20. And it says, "Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify your body, spirit, which will be in God." So it's basically telling us that our body is a temple of God. It is made for us to worship God, and we shouldn't be polluting it. So God is telling us not to pollute our body with drugs, alcohol, smoking. Junk food can even be in there, being gluttonous and overeating. And so what do people say? So people actually advertise alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and stuff, and they even legalized weed, and they're legalizing all these negative substances. And God is telling us not to pollute our body with these substances, and yet people are promoting it. God says that we should not gossip, we should not condemn other people and judge them, but rather help them. And you see people bringing so many of, even young people as teenagers, we get put down a lot, especially from social media, where it's like a landmine for people to judge and condemn us. Whereas God is telling us to show love. And even magazines, they are solely about scandals and affairs and things that are gossip. And that's what people are advertising, but God says, do not judge, do not condemn, show love. God says that we should not, not have sex before marriage. And society says, and people say, in America, it's like a part of life. They say it's natural, it happens. It's part of growing up. And God says it's wrong. So, drugs. People say it's okay, they allow you to experiment, they even legalize drugs. God says it's wrong. Drugs can result in infections, overdose, and even death. Alcohol can result in alcohol poisoning, it can result in drunk driving, and that can affect lots of innocent people. Gossiping can allow you to lose meaningful and purposeful relationships with people that you would have not be a good relationship, and you can lose that because of gossiping and you're just judging people. And fornication can result in STIs, unwanted pregnancies, and orphans. So God puts these expectations and these rules for us to follow them because He knows what the negative outcome is. And we should be following those expectations and living up to it instead of living up to the expectations of people. Amen. Right. So Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and the perfect will of God." So what they are saying here is that you should not be conforming to other people's expectations, but to God. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God, so that you may be able to conform to God's expectations and show His love and personality to people, so that they realize that their expectations or the expectations of society are like not in the ways of God, and they realize and come to that understanding. So people's expectations differ from God's. When other people are doing something wrong, and especially us as the youth, so, okay, I like to focus on the fact that we're youth, right? And there are smaller babies in the Sunday school class that look up to us. So, if we're setting the standards and the expectations low, do you think they're going to try and better themselves and try and go higher if we, as they're older than them, try and set the standards low? Then they're not going to try and reach high for God. If we're not doing actions, it starts off like not doing actions for God. You know, in the songs, you're not doing it, you're doing it half-heartedly, you're not giving your best to God. And if the smaller children see us doing that, they're not going to want to be excited and vibrant for God, which is what we should be. We are children of God, we should be excited to be in His presence because He is our Father. Don't you get excited to see your dad? All of us get excited to see our fathers. So why aren't we excited for God? We should be showing our children to be excited and vibrant for God. So it starts with us as youth to start setting the standards high. We shouldn't be doing things half-heartedly. We give our best to God. Amen?
Amen.
All right. So being conformed to people's expectations and their standards leads us to stray from God, because people's expectations differ from that of God's. Like if in school, when you're tempted and peer pressured to do the wrong things, even when we go to family functions, and gossiping is the main thing that happens there, we all want to talk about that boy, that girl, and you know what she did, you know what he did, oh my God, and you're talking about all those things, and if you're at a family function, you don't want to be like sitting in the corner alone, you want to be involved, and if they're all gossiping, some of us, we do tend to get a bit carried away and indulge in the gossiping, which is wrong. We shouldn't be judging and condemning. Likewise, in school, if you're being peer pressured to smoke or try alcohol or something like that, you shouldn't do it, because remember, right, when you go on Judgment Day to face God, and if you did something wrong, and if God asks you why, you can't say, because my sister did it, I did it. God's not going to accept that answer, because He's asking you. You made that choice. It is your decision, your action. The same way, if I smoked with my friends at school, and if I got caught by the principal would reprimand all of us. My dad's a teacher there. So when I go home, my dad is going to finish me. He's going to be shouting and screaming at me. He doesn't care whether my friends did it or whether they influenced me, because He raised me in the right ways. He raised me in the right path. And He knows that He did that. So He's going to be upset with me. And I'm facing that judgment alone. So I cannot say that it's because my friend did it, I did it. Okay? So in the same way, if other people are doing things, we can't say because Kian's not coming to church next week Sunday, I won't come next week Sunday, because who I'm going to talk to. It's not. You can talk to God. You don't focus on other people. You focus on God. It's your relationship. And at the end of the day, when you are called, you are going to be questioned. Not Kian because he didn't come. Yes, he is going to be questioned, but he's not going to be there with you when you are questioned. When you're walking in the path of God, sometimes you have to walk it alone. Not in the sense spiritually, because God is always there, but in the sense that you may not have to have friends around you who agree with you, because you're choosing the right path and they may not be at that stage where they're ready to follow the right path. But you have to follow it because you know that God is with you. And you don't need other people. Their expectations that they set for us, like Kim Kardashian, that's people's, like girls are trying to be, that's their idol. Why aren't us girls making her our idol and not someone like Freddie Power?
Yeah.
Those are just physical appearance and things that are fake and unrealistic, and that's what some people are. Some people are fake and they're not real. We should be following the expectations of God, like Freddie Power, who is trying to help change the world one soul at a time. Following the expectations of God, we are bettering other people as well as ourselves. Okay. So people can be very, very unreliable. And a very recent event of this is very recently a very, very famous YouTuber who has like over millions of subscribers. He was accused of these allegations, and he was labeled terms like sexual predator, and his name is James Charles. And he was like going through a very rough time. So he didn't address these allegations immediately. And so people just, in one day, he lost 1 million subscribers. In 2 days, 2 million. And you can understand if it's someone who doesn't know him personally, but people who had personal relationships with him totally wrote him off, didn't even like reach out and try to find out what was going on. They wrote him off. And when he addressed these allegations and proved all of it wrong, and then they all started coming back, he realized who his true friends are. And a biblical example of this is on Palm Sunday when Jesus came, and the people expected him to fight and to fight against their enemies, and Jesus didn't. And literally the next weekend they crucified him. It shows you how unreliable and how quickly people change and write you off. Whether what they are saying is true or not, they are so ready to just cut you off. And God will never do that to you. He's never going to unsubscribe from your life. He's always there for you to
Amen.
And that is something that us as the youth need to understand, that yes, we have friends, and yes, we have people who we love and who we care about, and we're going to have those relationships, but they're not going to last forever. Sometimes people are going to hurt us, but we need to understand that God is always there. That's why we need to subscribe and we need to follow His expectations. Why follow the expectations of someone who's going to leave you or hurt you or just not be there for you, when you can follow someone who's there for you constantly throughout everything? He's consistent in our life. Even our parents might not be consistent in our life, but God is consistent, and God loves us more than our parents together. So we need to understand that yes, people will try and tempt us, and yes, people will try and persuade us. We shouldn't conform to their expectations. If it's not of God, then we shouldn't even consider it. Yes, we'll be times we backslide and we make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But if I had to do something wrong to someone, and one of my close friends, how many of your friends will stick by you even though you hurt them? Whether it was a mistake or whether it was on purpose, they're not going to stick by you if you hurt them, accidental or on purpose. God, Jesus is there. Whether you know what you're doing, and even if it's wrong, even if you're sinning, Jesus is there interceding for us. He is there telling God, that is your child. She will come back to you. He will come back to you. Give him another chance.
Amen.
That is Jesus, always there to be there for you. Even when you are at your worst, even when you are doing the worst things, He is there believing in you and giving you strength.
Amen.
And that is why we should conform to God and Jesus, and not to people who are so ready to write us off when we do wrong. So, in closing, I hope you understand that people's expectations are quite different from that of God's, and it's up to us to decide whether our relationships with people or our relationships with God matter most.
Amen.